I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but Congress made an official referral to the Justice Department that Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Loretta Lynch should all be prosecuted, right, for all of
Right.
their actions about everything that's been being exposed over the past several years. And there's a lot of people who are upset that the Attorney General Sessions hasn't done something on this yet. And I still have faith in Attorney General Sessions. I think he's going to do the right thing, whatever that is in the end here. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people upset about that. Can you speak to that on that particular thing? Where do we go with regard to Attorney General Sessions?
Look, I'm going to be very clear here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in defending or making excuses for AG Sessions.
Mm-hmm.
However, we have to remember one thing. In the last 8 years, the Obama administration politicized every single arm of federal government. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just the FBI or the CIA, as we now know. It was every other branch, DOJ included. Even, do you remember the Park Service? Do you remember when we had the shutdown and Obama sent park rangers to the Washington memorials to
Mm-hmm.
fence them off and prevent veterans going to the memorials? I mean, that's the level of weaponization, political weaponization of the federal government under Obama. So everything from the IRS to the CIA, they were weaponized. However, the worst of the worst, literally, the viper's den of politicized hackery was the DOJ.
Yep.
So nobody listening to I know a lot of people are impatient, a lot of people are frustrated with the AG, but you do not want his job because he had the heaviest lift outside of the Oval Office, being the Attorney General in a place that was a hive of Obamaite lackeys.
Mm-hmm.
That's the toughest job of all. And also, as conservatives, we believe the thing that separates us from the left is that we believe in rule of law. We don't have kangaroo courts. We don't
Right.
say
We
somebody's
don't just lock
guilty.
people up for the sake of locking them up, right? Like
Right.
we actually will do it if it calls for it, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. But the fact of the
Right.
matter
We,
is, we
we,
have to
we,
go through the process.
right. We don't do what the Obama administration did to Dinesh D'Souza. We don't do what the Obama administration did to that
Mm-hmm.
filmmaker who did that film about Mohammed. We have due process.
Right.
And as such, we're only in month 16. This
Mm-hmm.
this takes time. But as that referral, as you mentioned, that referral yesterday, and I said it, you can watch the video of my speech. It's on Breitbart's Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I have full confidence that sooner or later, once the wheels of justice turn, individuals at the highest level of the Obama administration will be charged, and some of them will be prosecuted, and I think some of them will go to jail for committing felonies.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dr. Gorka, another big thing that's going on. Obviously, we've seen Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, has decided to not run for re-election, but he's trying to stay speaker the rest of the year. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. That debate's going to play out over the course of the rest of the year here, the next couple months. But the fact of the matter is that we had a big story from our own John Binder. I don't know if you saw it this morning, that walks through. So it was the lead all night on Breitbart last night, that Paul Ryan and some of these globalist GOP establishment people are now pushing a plan to try to do an amnesty before the midterm elections. That would not be helpful, would it? Like, I mean, doing amnesty, what are these guys thinking? Like, this is insanity. What do you think about this? What should we be focused on?
Yeah, I saw the lead story on the page. I actually mentioned this last night in my speech.
Mm-hmm.
People have to understand that the president won election despite the GOP, not because or thanks
Mm-hmm.
to the GOP. And when it comes to illegal aliens, the sad truth is the Democrats want more of them so that they can stay in power and vote illegally. And the Chamber of Commerce and the GOP establishment wants them as well, so they have cheap labor. So the president is in trench warfare, and the enemy's to the front of him, and the enemy's to the back of him. But look, we had high hopes of Paul Ryan. He became another swamp creature. He was captured by the establishment, and he gave in to the establishment's mores. So the big question for the midterms is a very simple one for the GOP. They need to understand that they need to hitch their wagon to the president's wagon train, or they will pay a price. Because I was in California, I was speaking in California last week. Even in California, people are really fed up. When I was there, all I heard again and again and again
Sanctuary state?
Gas tax, cap and trade, and sanctuary cities. And the Californians are really angry, Matt. So anything is possible this year. Anything is possible.
So yeah, no. Now, Dr. Gorka, there's another a couple of big things that are happening right now. We actually have some audio from President Trump's press conference with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, where he talks about a couple of major issues. I want to play one of these clips, and then we'll come back to another one. Let's play audio 1A, and then we'll come back to another one in a minute. Can we play audio 1A?
The media has not covered the TPP correctly. I don't want to go back into TPP, but if they offered us a deal that I can't refuse on behalf of the United States, I would do it. But I like bilateral better. I think it's better for our country. I think it's better for our workers. And I much would prefer a bilateral deal, a deal directly with Japan. We already have a deal with 6 of the 11 nations in the TPP. So we already have trade deals, and the others we can make very easily. They're all calling one and can make a deal.
So Dr. Gorka, I think that President Trump pulling out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership in the first couple of weeks of his administration is one of the biggest successes of his administration. I hope he sticks to that and doesn't get back into the TPP and does these bilateral deals. What do you make of what the president is talking about there at the press conference with Abe?
Everybody has to have faith. I told the audience yesterday in Richmond that Trump will always be Trump. It's like the conservatives who are worried about what happened in Syria last Friday. The president is not a neoconservative, and he never will be a neoconservative. All of the decisions the president takes are about America's national interest, the interest of American workers, the interest of American taxpayers. The idea that suddenly he's going to go soft on us, it's not happening, Matt. Whatever deal he strikes, it's like the steel and aluminum tariff announcement. People need to understand that's not about steel and aluminum. It's not even really about China. It was his global reset. And I don't mean, a cheesy plastic button that Hillary takes to the Kremlin. I mean a real reset. He sent a message to the world that I don't care who you are, but the last 30 years of globalizing garbage deals that undermine the U.S. worker, the U.S. taxpayer, those days are over. And we'll renegotiate anything if it's better for the American taxpayer and the American worker. That's who Donald Trump is. So, have faith in the Donald.
Yeah, and so now, Dr. Gorka, we have another clip about the president's upcoming meeting with Kim Jong-un, the premier of North Korea. Can we play clip 1C?
We've never been in a position like this with that regime, whether it's father, grandfather, or son. And I hope to have a very successful meeting. If we don't think it's going to be successful, Mark, we won't have it. We won't have it. If I think that it's a meeting that is not going to be fruitful, we're not going to go. If the meeting when I'm there is not fruitful, I will respectfully leave the meeting, and we'll continue what we're doing or whatever it is that will continue, but something will happen.
So, Dr. Gorka, what do you make of what all of this lead up to the meeting between President Trump and Kim Jong-un? What do you make of the president's comments about it yesterday?
I think it's stunning. We have to remember that the Korean War didn't end with a peace treaty. It ended with a ceasefire and an armistice.
Right.
So really, since 1953, we've had a conflict that's been frozen. And now, for the first time in 65 years, we have North Korea prepared to sit down with an American president and talk about some kind of lasting peace and even denuclearization. At the end of the day, it's a dictatorship. So we remember Reagan, and we say trust but verify, and we walk in there with our eyes wide open, and that's what the president is doing. But for example, sending the DCI Pompeo, the director of Central Intelligence, for these secret talks with,
and he'll be confirmed
Kim,
soon as Secretary of State.
That's a masterstroke. That's a masterstroke.
Right. It was a fantastic move. And by the way, in the middle of the whole Secretary of State confirmation too, it's just a very, 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 very good move by the administration. But so Dr. Gorka, the last thing, because we got about a couple minutes left here, that I wanted to talk to you about is the upcoming midterm elections. This is so important. What looms around the corner here. The Democrats and the left are trying to take back the House majority, and they are on a warpath. There is a resistance out there. You saw it last night with those protesters that were screaming in your car window. The fact of the matter is, though, is that I think the only thing that can stop them is the silent majority, the movement that we saw President Trump harness in 2016 and win and defy the odds, defeat the entire political class to win the election in 2016. And by the way, that included many parts of the Republican establishment, as you mentioned. How do we get that movement in here on our side back up and running? In at full capacity like it was in 2016, because I think that it can be done, and I think that we can stop the left.
It can be done. Go back and watch the president's CPAC speech, and he nails it there. He said, we have this phenomena that when we get our guy in the White House, we get all, lackadaisical, and we sit down and we don't go out on the midterms, and we get torched to the midterms. We can't let that happen again. 2018 is even more important than November the 8th, 2016. If you believe in the MAGA movement, if you ask everybody around you, what do they think of the last 14 months? If they like it, if they want 7 more years of that, get out there. Don't just write a check to the local, candidate. Knock on doors. Get out there. Get on social media. Even though they're throttling us, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, push back on the fake news. And remember, the president broke the rule book of politics in America. He took the rule book, he shredded it, he burnt it, he buried it, and he jumped up and down on it. Why? Because he won back hardcore Democrat districts. Why? Because so many people had enough. So everything is possible. Don't give up. Get out there, push back on the fake news industrial complex, be a part of the solution, and volunteer and get your checkbook out. Because guess what? We need 7 more years of Trump and then 8 more years of Pence as president.
I couldn't agree more. Dr. Sebastian Gorka, thank you for joining us here on the program. He's former Deputy Assistant to the President of the United States, Donald Trump.